Hi, I'm Max Tucci. I always wanted to do a show where I can introduce you to inspiring celebrities, newsmakers, and everyday people. Today, I'm going to introduce you to two young gentlemen. Despite their diversities, they are both equally inspiring. Today, I'm introducing you to Jackie Lewis, an alumni from the SOS Children's Village. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you.
So you have such a unique story, and when I called the village here, they're like, oh, you have to speak to Jackie. You're like hands down the one to speak to. But before we talk about all the wonderful things that you're doing now, let's go on the journey when your childhood, when you first got to the village and what it represents to you.
I came to SOS Children's Village probably around 1992. I remember being in elementary school.
How old were you?
I must have been at least like 7 or 8.
Okay. And then you show up here,
Yeah.
and what was your life like prior to getting here?
Well, before it was not necessarily one of the best experiences. Like I moved from foster home to foster home. I remember one night I got into an argument with my foster parent, and I was just crying. And you know, I was a child at the time. And you know, when you're a child, you naturally say, I want my mommy.
Right.
And she just said, your mom doesn't want you, that's why you're here.
And you were like, how old?
I must have been at least like 5, 6 at that time.
Wow. So now you're at that point in life, you're like 4 or 5 years old, 5 or 6, and you were told that. What did that do to you inside?
It tore me up because at that time, all I wanted was to have a bond with someone. And I didn't have my parents, and you called yourself my parent. So why would you not want to bond with me? It really hurt.
Do you carry it to today?
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
So what was it for you that made you not carry it? Because there's a lot of kids out there who, even if their real parents say they don't want them.
Yeah.
So how do you inspire kids who are out there like, whose parents have told them like, I don't love you?
Well, for me, I was adopted when I was 16. So I think that was a major turning point in my life. My foster parents were house parents at SOS Children's Village. That's how I met them. And so at the time, I could genuinely feel that she cared for me. And the whole SOS Children's Village as a whole, it was set up to be a family environment. So I was able to create those bonds that I was looking for so long.
Now, 7 years old, you arrive at the village, and you're placed into a home with how many other kids?
It was probably about 4 other kids.
4 other kids. And right away, was there conflict, or was there like, we're cool with you?
Yeah, for the most part, it was pretty cool. I mean, but you know, as boys, we tend to play a little rough,
right.
A little bit more aggressive. So that was just natural, but
Natural.
yeah.
Now, would you say the village changed your life?
I would say it did.
Okay. How did it change your life?
It changed my life because I was open to different experiences that I would have never been experienced to. I've gone to sleepaway camps almost every year. I've gone to Dolphin football training camps. I've met Major League Baseball players, major football players. Like I got to meet Ricky Williams. And you know, at the time I was really into football, so I got to meet Ricky Williams, shake his hand. You know, that was like one of the bigger than life moments.
Is there ever a point in life where you questioned, why me?
All the time.
There is. And what do you say to yourself?
There's a saying that it says God gives his biggest struggles to his strongest warriors.
Okay.
And I always figured that if I couldn't make it through it, he wouldn't put me through it.
Right. Are you at peace right now?
Because, like I said, I was adopted. And honestly, half the time, I don't even realize I'm adopted. When you say my mom, she naturally comes to my mind.
Right.
Like, there is no other one. I mean, no disrespect to my biological mom because she brought me here, but my foster parent, she raised me.
Right.
You know?
So they're your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's no label,
There's
but
no
your
difference.
parents.
And that's the way that I'm treated. Even with her biological sons, they treat me as if I'm their brothers. Like, I woke up, before anybody texted me on my birthday, I got 2 texts from them.
And how did that make you feel?
That was, to me, it's the best feeling in the world because having to have gone from wanting those connections to having genuine connections that makes you feel wholeheartedly, it gives you that overall warm feeling. And that's all I've ever wanted.
What is your advice to children who are here at the Village now?
For children that are here, I would have to say you can't give up. Despite any struggle, despite any rule that you may not agree with, even if you feel it's not beneficial to you, the truth is it is going to help you in the long term. Everything in here is not meant to break you down. We want to build you up. We want to see you become better. We don't want to see you become a statistic. And that's always been one of my biggest things. Most foster children, they don't graduate high school. They don't attend college. And we tend to have this self-entitlement, like the world owes us something because we've had a hard life. But the truth is, we have to go through life just like everybody else. Our struggle just might be a little more tough, but that doesn't mean we can't make it through.
Who inspired you? Because I know there's some people.
I would have to say definitely my foster parents, but overall I would say I saw a need in society as a whole. Like I watch, like I'm a really quiet person. Like you see me, I rarely talk, but I tend to observe everything, and I see that society has a need. We need to get back to our base morals and our values. We don't value each other. Society, we've gotten to a point where it's like, I'm gonna do what I can to get where I wanna be, and I don't care who I have to step on to get there.
But you haven't done that.
No, I haven't.
We're gonna talk about that when we get back, because you started a charity, you're working, I see you all over the place, and the community here at SOS, they had you speak at the gala, so we're gonna talk about that when we get back, all right?
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back. And we're back with Jackie Lewis. During the commercial break, we were talking about mentors and how really your foster parents were your biggest mentors. And I asked you in school if you had mentors, and what did you tell me?
I didn't really take the mentors.
Did you feel that was because maybe you didn't trust people?
Yeah, definitely, because I would say moving from home to home in the foster care system, everybody tells you that they care for you and that they're gonna stay, and then they're just up and gone like that. So I really did have a trust issue with people in general. And I struggle with that till this day, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it that triggers a trust issue for you? Because there's people watching who, despite if they're 15 or 45 or 75, they have this trust issue. So maybe you can enlighten us on what it is that triggers you and how you deal with it.
All right. Basically, if it reminds me of a similar event that I've already experienced in my life, like if I'm texting someone that I really care for and they don't text back at all, and I know that you always have your phone in your hand, like that's like I won't text you anymore. I'll let you be like, oh, where you been? Well, when I was texting you, you wasn't texting me back.
Now, in school, did you meet like your best friend?
I did actually.
You did?
Yes. Well, I actually met my best friend here, but we happened to go to school together.
School together.
Yeah. I call him my brother.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no difference.
No, we're all like family anyway on this earth.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are watching right now and they're seeing you and your story and they're identifying with you, what is some inspiration that you give them to continue life and not to give up?
I would have to say that everything happens for a reason, whether we understand that reason at the current moment or not. We're going through something, whether it's a lesson that needs to be learned, it's more, you have to push through. And it's not always, it's one of those situations where you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, so you want to give up halfway. But once you actually get there, you'll be glad that you did.
You'll be glad that you did. Are you happy where you are now?
I'm not content. Okay. I'm striving to be better every day.
That's good. That's good. Always strive to thrive, right?
Yes, exactly.
Now, what do you want people to remember most about you in this period of your life?
I want them to see that he went through all of this, and instead of becoming selfish and saying that the world owes me something, he decided to give back with the little that he had. That's what I would like.
The little that you had. But this is just the process.
Yeah.
So the little now is going to be major in the long run, right?
Yes, sir.
And now, if you could do anything right now to help a child in need, what would you tell people that they can do?
I would say be understanding. A lot of times, we as adults, we feel like we know better, and a lot of times we do, but we need to be more sympathetic. That's what, like a lot of children, they cry out for help because they want someone to be there to understand. Like as young children, we cry, not necessarily because something is actually wrong, but because we want the comfort.
Before we wrap this up and go, do you have like a favorite quote of inspiration? Because you said a couple, but what is one that you want to leave people with to say, I'm Jackie Lewis, remember me by this quote?
There's a scripture in the Bible. It says, there is healing in the bitter cup. So even though, like medicine, it's bitter. You don't like the taste of it, but you take it despite that because you know in the long run it's best for you.
So it's best for you, and the best is yet to come.
Yes, sir.
It sure is.